Dear friends, now in this session we are going to start our technical discussion and elaboration of the shape of economy. But I have few instructions to those who are interested in this subject that they must visit the website naveenprayas.com, where the book written by me, Shape of Economy, is also, you can read it as it is, what is there in the printed book form. It has been made available to you free of charge. There is no charge in visiting this website, and you can read the book simultaneously. Initial introductory part was not very important, but for understanding this session, you must turn on to page number 13 of this book, where this graph is shown to you in the book, and it has been elaborated also, and the graph has been explained also. But I am going to give few more insights to this graph, because this is very fundamental in understanding the further implications and further ramifications of the graph of shape of economy. If you watch this graph, you will find that plus minus signs are assigned to the basic activities, that is for consumption. You will find that there is in the bracket you will find the minus side, and if you go just vertical to it, there is a income, and it has been shown as plus side. Now, what does it mean? Because here I am taking the help of science also. Plus and minus, these are the two poles of any magnet. For electricity to flow, it is always between two poles, that is minus and plus. You can take any electricity connection in a very simplistic form also. If you light a bulb, it also has two connections, one is plus and one is minus. And if you take most sophisticated electronic circuitry, like chips in the or semiconductors, anything, because this flow has to be interrupted to come to a conclusion that this function is plus is flow, minus is no flow. Yani shut the door and current takes another route. This is how the chips are designed that way. All the semiconductors and all the sophisticated electronic equipment, that is based on the plus and minus side of even the binary language. You will find that 9 digits are just taken, that and then the combinations of 0 and 1. 0 and 1 is plus or minus, that's the same thing. There's nothing different in zero stands for what and one stands for what. So total binary on which the current day computing technology is based is plus and minus. So the attraction between income and consumption, that is self-explanatory. Unless you have income, consumption cannot take place. And if there is a income, if there is a consumption, for the consumption you need income. It is just like if the income flows in, the expenditure in shape of consumption, that is the minus. यानी income minus expenditure on consumption is the resultant. If there is a balance, it is simple form the saving. So plus and minus sign, why I have assigned income? Because it is earned, it comes in. And expenditure, why it is minus? Because expenditure goes out of the pocket of the consumer. I hope you will understand that why there is a attraction between plus and minus. Now I tell you another aspect of this flow of current, that if you draw two poles, if you have two magnets, and if you bring two similar poles, means plus poles and plus pole of one magnet and plus pole of another magnet, the result will be repulsion. Plus will repel each other. And if you bring minus pole of one magnet to plus pole of another magnet, it will attract. You can have a rod like this where the magnetic current flows, and you can watch it in your the flow of current can be demonstrated to any student of economics and science because in the very basic study of science, this polarity of the flow of current is always taught to even elementary science students. I mean to say 6th, 7th, 8th standard also, you will find the mention of what does the flow of means. So the same, because I have earlier also told you that this is shape of economy is the result of some scientific causes. You can simply say that okay, there is a attraction and repulsion, but if you want to analyze the graph in totality, you will have to understand that plus and plus repel each other, plus minus always attract each other. This is the basic fundamental of the initial discussion on this subject. Now on the other side, you will find there are two poles of production and expenditure. Now production I have given plus side and expenditure as minus side. Now what does this plus and minus signify? That for the purpose of production, you have to incur expenditure. That is the cost of production. So the profit which the industrialist or anyone for that matter earns is the difference between the what he gets as a selling price and the expenditure he makes as the cost of production. So production naturally is plus, and since because the selling price is what producer earns, that gets, the way consumer gets income, similar way the producer gets the selling price. It is what he gets. It means it comes in, and expenditure is what he pays out as a cost of production. The difference between what the selling price is and what his expenditures are basically the difference between the two. If the selling price is more and expenditure is less, result is profit. I hope this will clarify the thing. Now, I have in blue lines, I have depicted the forces of plus minus. That is what the four basic economy basically they bind each other, and there these four in between you will find the red lines of repulsion. As I told you before, that if the income is plus, the production is also plus. If consumption is minus, then expenditure is also minus. What does it signify? Very simply, on very simple terms, you will find that if the production goes up, the income what the consumers get, income of consumers is dependent on the activity of production. If there is a more production, if the consumer is producing more quantity, his productivity is higher. In that case, his income goes up. This is due to the fact that the polarity plus plus, if the production goes up due to repulsive forces, the other pole of income will go away from this, means it will increase. Similarly, if consumers make expenditure, that is depicted as a minus side, and expenditure on the production side, that is also a minus pole. So, what consumers will spend, his purchasing power, if it is utilized for consumption of physical activity or service sector activity, it is immaterial or what kind of expenditure is making. But if he makes an expenditure, only then the production, the cost of production will go up. What I mean to say is these two poles will repel each other. If there is an increase in the consumption, only then the production, the plus cost of production will go up. So these two poles similar, minus minus, this is a repulsion, and plus plus is also a repulsion. So all the four poles of the shape of economy has a tendency, is a scientific fact, that the forces of attraction will bind it together, because if the four poles are attracting each other, the cohesive force, you can call it a national economy. So national economy will be cohesive will bind the forces of consumption, production, income, expenditure. All the four poles will come together. But if it has to grow, then static, what I told you before also, there is never a static equilibrium. In a perfect state of equilibrium, income is exactly equal to expenditure, and income is exactly equal to consumption, and consumption is exactly equal to production, and production is exactly expenditure equal to expenditure he makes as a cost of production. So this is a static equilibrium, but it never happens. It is always changing. Either the income is affecting consumption, or it is the production which is affecting the income and expenditure. So all once even a single factor like income, if it grows up, if it is goes up, then there will be a disstability. So this stability will force a new stage of equilibrium, because sooner or later, not today, tomorrow, maybe after tomorrow, and after 1 month, after 1 year, this equilibrium will take place, but this process is just unavoidable. It has to happen, sooner or later it has to happen, because static equilibrium can never exist. There are so many variables, because demographic change, science and technology, awareness, education, health. There are so many variables which are affecting the polar strength of the pole of the shape of economy. Therefore, it is always a stage of dynamic equilibrium. And these four poles, on one side, I will explain you if you draw a vertical line between, you divide the vertical division, if you make you will find that one side is one magnet and another side is another magnet. What I have grouped them as is a demand volume and supply atmosphere. Atmosphere, I will explain, because many people misunderstand it. But why I have given the nomenclature? Because it is the way, it was my frank admission that I am not very much aware of the jargons economists use, but for the sake of my understanding of the subject, it is what I feel is most appropriate word. Name can always be changed. If you say that it should be called this, it makes no difference. Names make no difference, but the content will remain same. You may find it difficult to understand what is the demand volume. Volume means the totality, because here we are not discussing, we are not elaborating anything as a micro level economics. It's a shape of economy is definitely a macro level economy. Its analysis is macro. When the group study the group of people, not individual but the group as a whole, then it has a macro implications. So be aware that don't mix it up with individual economics, micro level economics. So this is what I wanted to explain in detail that with the help of science, because later on you will understand mathematically how it is possible to make calculations, very complicated calculations are possible because of the initial discussion what we have today. Because equations also use plus and minus sign. You take a very simple elementary equation, it will be only plus and minus. Within brackets, outside bracket, you have to put minus sign or because total geometry is based on these signs, all the arithmetic as well. Because plus and minus is the basic function. Any mathematician you talk about, because multiplication is addition, addition, and addition. It's just nothing but addition. Division is just nothing but minus, 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 minus. Because as I told you that elementary science as well as elementary mathematics is just nothing plus and minus. In economics also, in economic calculations also, later on we will discuss about equality versus inequality. What does equality mean and what does inequality means? These are implications we will discuss at a later stage because interoperability of this graph is when I imagine it, the applications can be so many complicated applications for those who are interested in research work and for those who try to just understand elementary knowledge of economics. I think the supplementary, whatever they learn as a regular course, that will continue. But to enhance the knowledge of economics in a scientific temperament is altogether a different proposition. It's a very different proposition because here you don't have to doubt anything. You cannot say no, this is not true. If the demand goes up and supply comes, natural equation is a different thing. But mathematically proof is available only with the help of science. So scientific temperament in study of economics is also what I am trying to foresee that our education institutions will encourage the analytical part of it, the understanding part of it, to as many people they can. They will find it useful. We will further move ahead because now we are simply trying to understand what the shape of economy and each variable and constant what it stands for. Thanks.